We're going to talk about tech, but in particular, two aspects of tech that I think are especially relevant to retail right now. The irony of technology, of course, in marketing is that we're using inhuman tools to try somehow to get more human and closer to customers. And virtualizing intimacy is itself an oxymoron that's pretty hard to beat. But we're going to talk about, in particular, live commerce and AI here, and drill a little bit into the ways in which these two brands are using them. Let me ask Catherine and Ryan to introduce yourselves briefly and what you do at your various companies.
Good morning, I'm Catherine Seaton. I work at Windsor Fashions. For those of you who don't know who we are, we're a women's apparel brand. We've been around since 1937. We've got about 330 stores throughout the US and Puerto Rico, and I'm the head of marketing.
Hi, I'm Ryan Egley. I'm the manager of email operations at Victoria's Secret & Company. I've been with the brand for almost 2 years now. I lead a global team focused on the development and deployment of all of our marketing emails for the Victoria's Secret and PINK brands. I think we gotta throw a quick disclaimer. I'm in the lingerie industry, so I'm gonna be talking about bras and panties a lot, so hopefully everyone's okay with that right now.
Let's start with live commerce. And Catherine, lay out for us what the program of live commerce is for your brand, and how it's not, our grandmother's QVC.
Yeah. So we leaned into live commerce about 2.5 years ago. We thought that it was going to be an important place for us to play. We were just coming through COVID. And really, it's the one place where we can really connect with our customers and have a conversation with them, aside from being in store, where they can talk real time with us. And so we've had a long technology journey in this space. We started off first on a platform called Comment Sold, then started doing live streaming direct in platform on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok. Learned a lot and ended up on Bambuser now, where all of our live programming is on our website. So it's now exclusive content that we offer on site. We invite people in from social, but you have to come into our site to actually get our live streaming. And so that's how we look at it, as a way to, one, interact with her, to position ourselves as her fashionista best friend, where she goes for all of her fashion styling tips, to see what's trending, to see what's new, to see what to wear out on date night, and then to be able to really have that conversation with her.
So just briefly sort of describe the shows themselves, give us a sense of the calendar and the cadence of when you drop these and what they look like, what the experience is like.
So we go live at least 6 times a week. The majority of those are in our studio. We will go live a couple times a month in one of our stores. We also partner with a lot of influencers, and so we'll have a couple influencers come in and do shows with us. We'll also have them do shows in their home throughout the US. So we try to mix up the location of the lives a little bit. They usually last, I'm going to say, 20 to 35 minutes, and they're very specific occasion themed. So we will have a show that is about date night. We'll have a show that is about weekend getaway. We'll have a show that is work week to weekend and how to wear blazers into the office and then how to wear them out on the weekend. So kind of the full range of that.
I want to tie that back to the last panel. So storytelling is actually one of the things you've learned, is having them very focused, not just we're live, here's some stuff, but very much that there's a story around this. How did you settle on the cadence? How did you decide what's too much, what's not enough, and where where diminishing returns kick in?
We're still playing with that, one. So we originally started with 5 shows a week, and we have gone down to 3, we've gone up to 5. The first shows we were doing were over an hour, because back when we first started, for videos specifically and going live on Instagram and Facebook, the way the algorithm worked, you got more traffic the longer your show was. And so it was a reach and impression play. And so we were doing longer shows. Once we moved it off platform, we started doing shorter shows, because we found that people weren't watching for an hour. They were coming and going. And on that, we're about to launch on TikTok, because they've just launched a new platform. And interestingly enough, the way their algorithm works, it's with longer shows. So we're experimenting with that. We've played around with a lot of different days of the week, a lot of different times of the day. And I think the biggest thing with any kind of marketing, as you guys know, is just to constantly be testing and trying new things. Because even if you ran a test 6 months ago and found that the perfect time slots are 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, that might not be where she's shopping when we're in the middle of Q4. And so you've just got to constantly test new things.
And how have you also determined the best kinds and level of interactions in a live stream? What are the ways in which you're actually you're allowing customers to reach in and be a part of this that matter most?
A lot of question asking. And so we have the hosts who are doing the show, we have the person that is producing the show, and then we have someone who is moderating. So they're watching the comments in, and then the moderator is feeding questions in up on a screen that the hosts can see. And then the hosts in there, I call it script, but it's very loose. We work in a lot of, tell me where you're going this weekend. What are you looking for an outfit for? And I think the most interesting thing that we found is we might be doing a show on homecoming dresses, and somebody is on watching us who's going to a wedding, and they really want to know about wedding guest dresses for a beach wedding, which is not at all what the host pulled in the closet behind her to show them. And so the moderator who's on is feeding content into the comments to help get some specific styles in, direct her to that category page to help her shop that a little bit. So it's almost like a personal shopper that's on the chat with you in addition with the host, kind of helping the customer through their journey as they're watching the live.
I want to save a lot of questions for you because I could talk about this forever. Live commerce is really interesting, and Ryan, I definitely want to talk to you. But just a couple of pieces about customer journey and the metrics of success here. What kind of customer journey comes out of these experiences? Are they buying right away? Is there sort of a longer journey that occurs off of this? Have you seen any patterns emerge from how this impacts customer journey?
Yes and no. When we first launched, we thought that it was going to be a huge demand driver. We built demand dollars into the budget. Live commerce over in Asia is a billion-dollar industry. I mean, there's just tons of money flowing through that. It's really different because she has a lot more shopping opportunities and channels here in the States than over there, and a lot more options. And so it didn't turn into that for us, and what it really turned into was a way to connect with the customer and be that fashionista friend for her where she can go to get those tips. And then it started translating into dollars. So through the platform that we're on, which is Bambuser, that's where we landed, it's on site. In their reporting that we have, we can see how much of our viewership, our add to cart, our demand comes during the live, and how much of it comes post-live. And it's about a 50-50 split. So we track initial show demand as a metric, and then we track ongoing, continuing revenue build from that. And that on-demand programming has been really great for us. Yeah.
And I'm imagining there's a lot of retargeting coming after event that's driving some of this.
For sure,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're definitely watching and seeing who's engaging with the lives, who's watching it, and in particular, what categories of lives they're watching, and then weaving more of that content in with some dynamic content and emails. Yeah.
I'm going to stop because I really could go on, but I want you guys to think about how you follow up, because there's a lot to talk about measurement, about execution here, and about scale, but I do want to talk about AI. And especially explain the ways in which you are implementing AI, especially within, I think it's the email channel in particular, where you're using it. And let's lay out what the plan is, and then we'll dig into the issues.
Sure. So want to take you on the journey of how we included email personalization into our program the last few years. So it really started off as including personalized product recommendations that are appearing at the bottom of your email or maybe in the body of the email. And we were seeing small doses of success for that. Wanted to start scaling that up into something much bigger. So around last year, we did go down that route, and in hindsight, there was still so much human decision making that was involved with that, where we were still trying to fit customers into segments that we thought they were going to fit into, and not really using as much data as available out there to really make that a fully successful initiative. So we were seeing mixed results and said we needed to try something new. Earlier this year, we partnered with DaVinci by Movable Ink, and that's been an absolute game-changing initiative for our email program. So now, in order to make AI work in our program, we had to go back to the chalkboard. We had to figure out, we had to go and redo every way operationally we made emails. So I'm sure a lot of people here are used to building out an entire, every single email is planned from the top to the bottom, going through the review process, and then sending it out. What we had to do is a huge internal shift where we are instead building individual content assets instead of a full email. So you're only reviewing one small asset at a time. So that was a huge internal shift that needed to be made. And then secondly, it was just our strategic approach. We had our strategy team planning out, okay, during the AM email, we're gonna target bra buyers first, and then panty buyers, lingerie buyers, and then rest of file. And again, we were trying to fit people into categories based off of propensity models that we thought they fit into. So we had to take a step back on doing that level of control as well, and instead plan out in an email what areas are going to be personalized. So once those two shifts were made, then we started adding data into it to power it from AI. So using DaVinci, what we were able to do is use actual customer data one-to-one, how they were interacting with an email at that specific time, what types of pieces they were engaging with. So it was continuously learning and figuring out, like, what is he engaging with? Let's start serving him more of that. What is Steve, what are you engaging with? And then it follows the customer journey onto our site and then grabbing even more data. So now instead of sending out 3-4 versions of an email, we're sending out tens of millions of the different version, and it's really curated for you. I think the old way we would do it, maybe I'm fitting into the swim category and I get a swim email for that day. Well, maybe I'm not necessarily buying swim at that particular point in time. Maybe I am browsing something for my wife. So back in the day, I would have got swim. Today, maybe I'm getting our new arrivals. So really leveraging the data to make it hyper-personalized on your customer shopping journey has been absolutely game-changing.
Just so we lay out, what parts of the email are being left over to AI and which aren't? So which are the pieces that are being personalized and not being personalized? Just so we have a sense of what the machine's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's different, we can actually get to a full email where we are saying, DaVinci, please choose every single piece of content that's going to be put in there. So we still have human control over that. Say maybe, for example, we want to showcase our panty party. We can lock that content into place to ensure that everyone is seeing that huge offer, but then maybe below it, it is being personalized based off of the customer that opens it. So I think what also we're starting to move into is that we were sending out Victoria's Secret and Pink branded emails every day to every customer. Well, maybe I'm only shopping with the Pink. So now we have the ability to learn what brands we're engaging with most, and then we could get to a point where I'm only receiving maybe a Pink branded email throughout my journey. So it varies based off the level of control you want, but for lack of a better term, the AI can build the entire email if we let it.
And in many cases, you are. You're coming
Yes.
very close to letting it. And that's what
Yes.
I want to dig into next, is what are the guardrails here? What are the controls? So as you're finding that the AI is actually incredibly competent at doing things that were driving you guys nuts, and the temptation is let it go. And I think Google and Facebook have been asking you guys to do this a long time ago. Just let it go. Let the machine do it for you. Tell us about the guardrails that are being put in place, the monitors that are important, so that you really still feel like you have a handle on what's going out, what people are seeing, and that you're not making any mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think first and foremost, when people, especially marketers and creative, hear AI, they get a little scared that like AI is going to be replacing my job through generative copywriting. At Victoria's Secret, that is absolutely not the case. We're using AI to improve the work that we're doing and bring us to levels that are just not capable with human intelligence. So we're really focused on using it to, again, be an assistance. I have a whole team of people who would love to raise their hand and say, I'd love a little bit less work to do. There's so much that goes into just managing the content lake and the overall AI personalization process that there's still a lot of human interaction with it. I think, too, on the data side, is that we're only using first-party data that our customer data mart is providing what customers are clicking on the email and how they're engaging on the Victoria's Secret or Pink site. We're not going into a customer's inbox and seeing how they're clicking on other brands. We're only getting the data from VS. We're not following you on your journey across other sites. And then the same with other brands who use DaVinci. They're not seeing how people interact with Victoria's Secret and Pink. At the end of the day, we really want to create an experience that is authentic to how you interact with our brand. So that's a great way of doing it. And then thirdly, the last point I'll make is that there is still that human control of the proofing process where, call me crazy, we aren't going to be able to proof out 1 million different emails a day, but we still are generating a sample, and then there are constantly changes being made throughout the day where maybe something doesn't quite sit right and we need to go back. So we aren't just pressing a button and saying go, that there is still a manual element and human element in order to build out those blocks and make sure they look correct.
Is the machine making some common errors that you're seeing so far? I mean, when we've had retailers up here on our stage talk about the way they're testing image generating AI, and we're still getting arms, third arms coming out of models. But is there a rough equivalent here? Are you seeing machines making common mistakes that you're always on the lookout for, or are you seeing users sort of returning stuff to you or saying, calling attention to problems that the machine's actually causing?
Yeah, I think, especially since it's still a new product within our MarTech stack, I haven't really seen any sort of machine mistakes up until this point. I think it's an advanced technology that, for lack of a better term, there's human error that goes into it because we're putting so many detail into the content within our lake that goes into it that there are some issues, and again, that's where we try and catch it during proofing. But overall, I haven't seen anything like the generative AI mistakes that you're speaking to.
Have your metrics of success shifted or evolved at all as AI is driving this, or do you have particular metrics against that you're using against these particular platforms that may be a little different?
Sure. So I think first and foremost that we have an ongoing proxy test, that we want to make sure that the AI is still being effective when choosing content. So we have a small percentage of holdout group that doesn't receive any sort of computer chosen content, and then we're able to continuously monitor that we are seeing incremental lifts. I think from the email channel, we do have those main KPIs that we look for: clicks, opens, conversion, revenue. And what I can say is that we're seeing double-digit lifts in our main KPIs by having the computer make some of these decisions for us. And then even more so, as I was speaking, where we can allow a whole email to be generated in the content, we're seeing even bigger lifts, which has been exciting.
Is the AI and the decisions it's making teaching you things about your customers? Are you learning from the AI in places? Obviously, the AI is learning and driving the emails, and that's all helpful. But I'm curious, in cases like this, are you watching the decisions the AI is making and now coming to better insights about your customers as a result?
Excellent question. Absolutely, yes. So what we're able to do now is getting this granular level of data at a holistic level, what sort of assets are working, what aren't working, tagged across by categories. Again, the level of effort we put in to tag them a certain way, the more information we can get. So now we're able to take this data over into our internal stakeholders and say, we're generating this type of content right now, and people are just not clicking on it. But look, only, again, I'm going to say swim. Swim is only 3% of our content lake, but everyone's engaging with it, and that's what's being served. So let's start generating that other type of content. So we are, again, getting this massive data set that it's not overwhelming. It's presented in such a articulate way to process that we are making those content decisions in order to better serve the customer moving forward.
Catherine, are you considering any ways of building, since what your description of live commerce is sort of toil heavy. I mean, it's work intensive. Are there aspects of this that could be automated and that AI could be used to drive some of these interactions with customers? Are you looking into it? Just curious.
We're looking into AI not in the live space. We're using AI a couple of places. One is in SEO in particular. We're doing a lot of testing right now around utilizing AI for writing SEO content. We just dropped into place a test that we're going to run for the next 6 months around our bottom of the page copy, where it's 100% AI, 100% written in-house, and then 25 and 75 across every single category page. We've split that just to see what kind of a lift it is. You know, Google's come out and said pretty strongly that they're going to penalize you if all of your content is AI. And so we're really trying to figure out where is that sweet spot between driving efficiency and bandwidth and being able to do more with the resources that you have, but also making sure that we're not doing anything harmful from an SEO perspective. So we're playing around with that there and a little bit in our blog.
Okay. I want to get ready to ask some questions. I just wanted to ask one quick wrap question, because both of you, we just focused on AI and live commerce because they're two very hot topics in the space right now. But you guys are being pitched all the time, a whole variety of technologies that are supposed to save your business, and you're watching a lot of things in the marketing ecosphere. What's the most overhyped of those technologies right now? What do you think is either overhyped or overrated in its pitch to help retail?
I wouldn't say in its pitch, but I think from a perception perspective, everybody's all about Instagram fans. And it drives me a little crazy. It's like, oh, we need to get 1 million fans. We need to get 5 million fans. If you could just do one Instagram post for this gene, it'll really help us because this gene isn't selling. I think there isn't this understanding of what that does. And so a lot of times what we'll do is we'll look at other brands that have these huge followings, you know, that are 15, 20 million, and then look at their earnings releases to try to help people understand your earnings, your EBITDA, your profitability isn't driven by you having 20 million fans on Instagram. And I think a lot of times people can get fixated on, I have to have a certain number of followers, and it is this number that they feel that they really need, and I just think that that's a really false KPI to be looking at.
First of all, everyone who's shared their tech here has amazing tech, so nothing is overhyped in this room. I think especially talking from an email perspective and talking with some of the big players in MarTech stack, that everyone wants you to buy in that their full suite of products you need to be able to buy into in order to be faster, in order to be more relevant, and in order to do things that aren't possible by building your own stack. And I'm not necessarily buying into that right now. I think especially Movable Ink is such an important piece in our email program that is such a niche product that does something so much better than any of the big players out there, and we're able to plug that into our MarTech system and deliver something incredible. So I've just been a big fan of being able to figure out your system that works for your company and being able to deliver the best product without it all coming from one brand.
What are the things in tech that you're most looking forward to that you think are most promising? Let's end on an up note. Even though I'm the room downer, but let's end on an up note. What are the things you're most looking forward to in tech being able to transform retail?
For me right now, it's actually a little bit the opposite of that, which is funny. We've been on Wunderkind, and we're on Listrak, they're our ESP, and we're about to move off of Wunderkind onto GXP, which is Listrak's solution. And so for me, being able to have device-level recognition to recognize anonymous traffic, drive all of my triggered, and then also have that journey translate onto on-site experiences with all of that by recognizing that user all within one platform and being able to manage and build those journeys, I think is going to drive a lot of efficiency for the team. It's going to drive a lot better insights from a reporting perspective and understanding what's really going on with the customer across all of the different touch points and having that integrated. So I'm really excited about that.
We're having the same debates that we had 15, 20 years ago. Spot solutions versus integrated solutions. We're still there. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, great to continue that conversation. I think from an email perspective, there are two things. Obviously, cookieless future has been a hot topic this week during the conference, so really figuring out how we can use ID graphing and bring that into our email program. I think number two is frequency, frequency personalization, where I know the previous conversation Mike was talking about sending out potentially too many emails, and that's absolutely correct, where we're looking into figuring out how can we, if I'm only opening something twice a week on a Tuesday and Thursday at 3 o'clock, let's start sending Ryan those messages when it's most relevant for him and at that brand. So really excited to start integrating that into our email program over the next coming months.
Yeah, let's bring that technology to CTV, where we're all being bombarded by the same ad for an hour. Let's open it up to questions. Anybody have any questions these two about live commerce or AI?
Good morning. Sonia Williford-Gill, JCPenney, Director of Owned. You and I talked a lot the other day just about all this because we're super excited and interested in DaVinci, or at least I am. But I was going to ask, because you're going through or have gone through a similar transition that I'm trying to push with our team today, the human element of moving away from having that lockdown, this is what the email is going to look like, every single piece, and proofing it that way. How did you kind of bring everybody along in this idea of kind of atomizing the email and having these separate content pieces? Was it something that you did in tandem with bringing DaVinci on, or was it something you did before? Just curious how you went about that.
We had to do a huge marketing campaign internally to bring every single stakeholder on board of the journey, because they do, again, there's this perception of we're giving away a lot of the control and my job is going to be eliminated or not valuable anymore. So we wanted to highlight at the very beginning how your job is going to get better, how you're going to see more successful results, and let them know that also this is going to come with a huge process change. I think one of the biggest hurdles of doing this was just changing how we make decisions and how we are operationalizing all of our content. So there has to be an understanding that if we're going this route, the absolute benefit of getting this one-to-one, highly intelligent content out there are going to have to be shifts. But in the long run, you'll look back in a year and laugh about how you used to build a full email like that.
Catherine,
Marcus, any
Catherine,
comments on the wardrobe?
How do you generate audience? How do you make sure you're generating a large enough audience for your live commerce? What's working to let people know that you're live?
A few different
and how
things.
important that is?
We go live on social right before we go live on site. So we go out onto TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and we invite people in. We let them know we're about to go live and invite them over. The platform Bambuser that we're on, when we are live, everybody that's on our site gets a little pop-up that lets them know that we're live then, and it stays there throughout the whole show as they're moving throughout the site. So no matter what page they're on, they're seeing that notification that we're live then. So what's great about that is we're capturing everybody who's already on our site, and we're starting to test some shows during our highest traffic hours to understand, does it help drive conversion? Does it take away from conversion? The most interesting metric that we've seen with lives is that our conversion rate is about 5x our normal conversion rate, and our AOV is about double our normal AOV for people who engage with lives versus people who don't. So we want to test it when there is a lot of that traffic that's there that's converting, but we want to make sure we're also not taking them down this other path on that side of it.
Catherine, Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.